Good evening and welcome to the City of Roswell Mayor and City Council Open Forum of September 30th, 2024. This is the fifth Monday, which means it is open mic night. I am Mayor Kurt Wilson. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues and council members present. Councilmember Sarah Beeson, Councilmember Christine Hall, Councilmember Lee Hills, Councilmember David Johnson. Councilman William Mortland has an excused absence with us this evening, and Councilmember Alan Sells. I'll now turn the meeting over to our City Administrator, Mr. Randy Knighton, to explain how the meeting is run. Mr. Knighton.
Thank you, Mayor Wilson, and good evening, everyone. This is open forum this evening, and would remind everyone that we certainly appreciate you being here. Residents are at the top of the organizational chart for the City of Roswell. If anyone is here that would like to speak, we ask that you fill out a comment card, which are located at the back of the room in order to ensure an accurate record of the meeting. We ask everyone to observe the principles of mutual respect and display the appropriate demeanor during the course of the meeting this evening, which should be and is reflective of this great community. With respect to the proceedings, we ask that attention is given to the person speaking, and if it is necessary for anyone to have an independent conversation, we respectfully request that you exit the rear doors to the council chambers, to the vestibule area. In addition, we ask that you silence any electronic devices at this time. The mayor is the presiding officer for the meeting and will ensure the orderly exchange of comments, questions, and any other discussion if needed. We encourage everyone in attendance and the viewing audience to visit the city website for meetings, events, and departmental information. We also encourage everyone to review and participate in the various activities offered here in the city of Roswell, and visit roswell365.com for a calendar of events. There are a number of wonderful events upcoming in the city of Roswell which promote community, physical activity, and leisure as we all make Roswell the #1 family community in America. Mayor Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton. As always, at this time, I have the great privilege to call Dr. Sabin Strickland, pastor of the Pleasant Hill Church, to the front for the invocation and moment of silence. Dr. Strickland.
All right. Mayor Kurt Wilson and the entire City Council of Roswell, thank you for the privilege and the honor of coming and sharing with you and, of course, our city in this time of prayer and a moment of silence. I'm going to begin with a moment of silence, and then I will close with prayer. All right. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, I pray for every culture, ethnicity, and race and citizen that makes up this great city of Roswell. My prayer, God, is that rather than rebelling or criticizing the city officials here in Roswell, I pray that we will instead respond as your word leads us to do. That is, by praying for them to do that which is right in your eyes. God, I pray for the meeting tonight as the open mic and open forum unfolds, that all will be done decent, God, and in order. I pray for our Mayor Kurt Wilson, City Council Member Sarah Beeson, and City Council Member Christine Hall, City Council Member Lee Hills, and City Council Member David Johnson, and City Council Member William Mortland, and City Council Member Alan Sells. Pray for our City Administrator and City Attorney. Lift them all up to you, that together that they would be able to lead and guide our city in a direction that is a blessing for all. Ultimately, tonight, I just pray that your perfect will manifest. I pray this prayer in the name of your Son, Jesus. Let us all say together, amen, amen, amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Strickland. If you're looking for a church home, there's not a better one in Roswell than Pleasant Hill Church. I believe Councilmember Mortland is one of your congregants, and I know all are welcome. At this time, I have the great privilege to ask United States Army Sergeant Kevin Green to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Outstanding. Thank you, Sergeant Green. I'm going to ask you to stay right there, and I'm going to ask council to come down and join me for the first item under the mayor's report, which is a reading of a proclamation for the esteemed veteran of Roswell War. Proclamation, Office of the Mayor. Sergeant First Class Kevin Green, esteemed veteran of Roswell. Whereas in the spring of 1994, at the age of 24, Kevin Green enrolled in the United States Army, demonstrating his commitment to serve our nation during a time of need. And whereas Sergeant First Class Green completed his basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, where he distinguished himself as a dedicated recruit and quickly rose through the ranks. Whereas after basic training, he served as a fleet mechanic in an engineer battalion at Fort Benning, showcasing his skills with machinery, vehicles, and weapons, and earning the rank of sergeant through his hard work and dedication. And whereas during his service, Sergeant First Class Green was recognized for his expertise in marksmanship and weapons training, earning accolades that reflect his commitment to excellence. And whereas although he enrolled in air assault school, he faced an unfortunate setback due to a broken ankle during training. And whereas Sergeant First Class Green honorably concluded his military service in 1998 as the military was downsizing. Whereas after his service, Sergeant First Class Green returned to his roots in Roswell, where he has worked for the city in the traffic signal department for 15 years, serving as a traffic signal supervisor for the past 5 years. And whereas Sergeant First Class Green's family has been a part of this community since 1960, and he still resides in the house where he was brought home after his birth. His father was a prominent figure in our city, and Kevin himself attended the old Roswell High School. And whereas it's fitting that we honor Sergeant First Class Kevin Green for his dedicated service to the leadership and commitment to his fellow soldiers and to our community of Roswell, Georgia. Now, therefore, I, Kurt M. Wilson, Mayor of the City of Roswell, Georgia, do hereby name Sergeant First Class Kevin Green, an esteemed veteran of Roswell, and extend our deepest gratitude and admiration for his service, and call upon all our citizens to recognize his outstanding service to our country and our community, and that there is no higher calling than those who serve the United States Armed Forces. Congratulations, Kevin. Thank you. Well, Kevin, this is your lucky time. You get the microphone now.
Oh, Lord. Well, my time in the service I wasn't shipped out. I was stateside the whole time. Don't know how esteemed I am. Was a mechanic, but thank you for the award, and that's really about it.
Oh, it's guys like you that are esteemed that make it up, man.
Yeah, I tried. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well done. Yes, yes. This is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Green. Well, that ends the mayor's report. Lee is kind of ticked off at me that she doesn't get to read all of the upcoming events, so sorry, Lee. So I'm now going to open it up for public comment for open mic night. Thank you all for being here. If you'd like to speak, please make sure to fill out a comment card with your name and address so that we have a record of all speakers at the meeting. Place your cards in the tray next to the podium. There's a maximum time of 5 minutes for each speaker. When you come forward, please state your name and your address where you live for the record. And so with that being said, who'd like to be the first speaker tonight? Janet, welcome.
My name is Janet Russell. I live on Willow Springs Drive in Roswell, Georgia. And first of all, I want to give a shout out to everybody that had their feet in the water and on the ground this last weekend. The guys in the parks were there bright and early cleaning up all the paths to make them usable again. We somehow missed all the terrible damage that's around us. I'd like to think it's because all the trees helped, the roots helped all the water that would have flooded everything terribly. So don't just give them a luncheon, give them a gift card to say thank you, because everybody else got to work from home. Now, I'm here because this week, well, September 15th to October 15th are Hispanic Heritage Month. And I've been waiting for the city to acknowledge Hispanic Heritage Month, but I guess I've missed it. When I moved to Roswell in 1973, I was probably the only Hispanic in town. It was a very black and white city right after the Civil Rights Act was passed, and people would look at me and say, "But you don't look Hispanic." And I'd say, "Really, what do they look like?" Because I am one. So if you're unaware of Hispanic Heritage Month, I have a few questions for you to answer. Do you know why it is September 15th to October 15th and not like September 1 to October 1? If you don't, you might want to do a little research. Currently, Hispanics are approximately 20% of the Roswell population. Many of them live here, but most of them work here. I think it's very important that we acknowledge our Hispanic neighbors. Now, the next question is, do you know the difference between a Hispanic and a Latino and what defines them? If you do not, I suggest you learn. That's why we have Hispanic Heritage Month. We had our first Latino elected official in Marcelo Zapata from Argentina. I remember toasting him, saying I never thought that I would live long enough to see a Latino on the city council. I also remember being called a stupid spick. Let that sink in. Not by him, but someone in town. I think it's important to know that you did have a flamenco show over at Cultural Arts Center, and you had a really good guitar concert at the Roswell Riverside Park, but there's also a fantastic art exhibit in this city hall right now by Hispanic artists. But I keep looking, there's been no mention of it in the city council, in the newsletter, in the cultural arts thing, nothing. Apparently there was a grand opening reception for the artists and the employees of the city. Wouldn't it be nice for the people of the city to know that they have a really super terrific exhibit here? I just thought I'd drop a few names because you might know them. Javier Bardem, Benicio del Toro, Antonio Banderas, Jenny Smith, J. Edward James Olmos, Hector Elizondo, Cesar Chavez, Dolores Del Rio, Rita Hayworth, Anthony Quinn. You thought he was Greek. No, he's Mexican, even though he did the Zorba program. Linda Carter, Cristina Aguilera, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Isabel Allende, Sandra Cisneros, Oscar Hijuelos, whom I met in person. He was a brilliant author. He died in 2013. I also met Isabel Allende. She's from Chile. As far as music goes, we have Gustavo Dudamel, Astor Piazzolla, Isaac Albéniz, Manuel de Falla, Joaquin Rodrigo, Linda Ronstadt. You didn't think she was Mexican, but she was, German and Mexican, living in California. Jose Carreras, Juanes, Andres Segovia. How about athletes? Rafael Nadal, Tata Martino. You know, we gave him the key to the city the year that the Atlanta United soccer team came here. He was from Argentina, and Marcelo got him here. Right here, he stood. Tony Gonzalez, Diego Maradona, Roberto Clemente, Pedro Martinez, Fernando Valenzuela, Oscar de la Hoya. Famous artists, Frida Kahlo, Pablo Picasso, Goya, Diego Rivera, Clara Ledesma, Dali, Miró, Murillo, and Gaudí. I say all these things because it's very important that we acknowledge all of the culture. We always say we live in a great city, the greatest one in America for families, and the reason is because we have so much cultural diversity now. I am proud to be part of that. My grandparents immigrated here. They were farm workers in California. Their great-granddaughters are now a professor and a vice president of a bank. It's the generational opportunities that come to America when everyone gets an equal choice. As you know, I really love diversity because my saying is life would be so boring if the only spice was salt. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Who would like to go next? Yes, sir, Scott.
I got my card.
Thank you, Scott.
Good guy.
Let everybody know who you are. You are a
No, probably not.
famous citizen from the past. A lot of people don't know you.
From the past.
And
My name
are
is
famous
Scott
citizen
Childress.
currently, obviously, as well. But
My name is Scott Childress. I'm formerly a resident of 435 Wickerberry Lane and then 395 Crossville Court for many years. But I'm here tonight to represent the Roswell Masonic Lodge, 165, which is located at 1054 Alpharetta Highway. It's hard to believe. I had to go back a little bit as I was getting ready. I am limited to 5 minutes, so I can't really say everything I want to say. I'm a lawyer. Anyway, it's been about a year and a half since I got that first letter from the city attorney saying, hey, we might be interested in your property as part of our effort to meet the new parking needs of the citizens and have a parking deck. Subsequent meetings with the mayor and his staff and several other folks and members of our lodge. Our lodge is actually older than the city of Roswell. We were chartered in 1852. We've been in that building for a little over 70 years, which used to be the church. Anyway, things went up, things went down, things are now resolved. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for that. And you all know that. Why am I here? I'm here because I've been appointed by the lodge to express our gratitude and thanks to the mayor and, of course, the council for allowing us to remain in the building until the end of this year, till December 31st, which will allow us, you're not aware because none of you are Masons, but we have a class of 5 new Masons who are growing. There are 3 degrees to become a Master Mason. And they will be what we call raised in our traditional lodge building because you're allowing us to remain through the end of the year. Another important feature is we have several 50 and 55. One is a 58-year Mason who have passed on this year. And we have what's called a Lodge of Sorrow to recognize those brothers who've gone on and invite their family, and they're really part of this community. If you look at the name on the cornerstone, you'll be impressed with the history of the names who were in leadership at that point. So we just want to say thank you for letting us remain in the building until the end of the year. if anybody cares, yes, we have a search committee, and they are looking at several locations to remain in the city, of course, and find a building to repurpose and grow into what will be the new lodge. So thank you, Mayor Wilson. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the council, for all of your efforts, and thank you, David, for helping with this process as well. That's all we got.
Scott, thank you, my friend. Thank you as well. Council deserves a lot of credit for this. I can't take none. And David and the economic team, and thank you, Scott, and your brothers. And obviously, we are here to help you in your journey, your next journey path here in Roswell.
Well, we do look forward to your continued relationship growing in a more positive way like it has.
Thanks, brother. Thank you, Scott.
Appreciate you.
God bless. No, ma'am. Anybody else would like to speak? Yes, ma'am?
I'll fill out my card. I haven't filled it out yet. Sorry. I didn't expect it to be so low today.
Welcome. Nicole, how are you?
You know, living the dream around here. So, hello everybody. My name is Nicole Griffin. I own a property at 155 Hembry Forest Circle. This, unfortunately, is now the third time I come to open mic night, and I stand before you all here continuing to say the same thing. This is literally, to me, the definition, well, not to me, but this is literally the definition of insanity at this point. Honestly, part of me wonders why am I even bothering to be here? But I will not be silenced by a blue wall, green wall, I say green wall because the Hornets are green, or by Roswell City Hall. My ultimate question at the end of the day is, it's still the same question that I've asked at the last couple of meetings and the internal meetings that I've had. What external agency oversees the Roswell Police Department? Yes, after the meetings on the open mic night on April 29th and July 29th, each of those resulted in me being talked to by someone in this room and ultimately led to an in-person meeting, so one after each meeting, with different officials within City Hall. The problem with those meetings, in my opinion, are they were just a check-a-box. And to be able to say, I met with her, we listened. Sadly, neither of the meetings resulted in any kind of feedback or any follow-up. Mr. Mayor, the meeting that we had, I was even just trying to write down the names of the people in the room and their titles. And I was told, don't worry about that. There'll be follow-up. You'll know who was in the meeting. Sad to say, Mr. Mayor, I never even got an email letting me know who was in the meeting and what their titles were. Part of that's on me. I plan to send an email, but I just feel like my concerns are falling on deaf ears. Both meetings, I offered to show proof of things that I stood here saying while begging for help. I have videos, pictures, recordings, only to be told, we don't need those, we will research your concerns. Is this why I was told I couldn't record the meeting when I met with you, Mr. Mayor? It's funny that these meetings can be recorded and are live streamed. Then I was told that when City Hall hears my name, that City Hall is on, this is what I was told. City Hall is on pins and needles when they hear my name. As a resident, am I supposed to apologize for asking city employees and officials to do their job? Well, if so, sorry, not sorry. The biggest concern I have at this point is my daughter, myself, my family, my neighborhood are being failed by the Roswell Police Department. I stood here and said my family is in fear because of a hostile environment that was created by a city employee in my neighborhood. A convicted sex offender has to my face accused me of being a snitch, said you know what happens to snitches, right? And snitches get stitches. I have reported it to the Roswell Police Department, said it in this meeting, said it to anyone in this city that would listen, and nothing has been done. I talked to the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. I talked to some internal people within Roswell Police Department. I talked to other law enforcement agencies. They all say that a statement like that is a crime, should have been handled with charges. Well, they all say it should have been handled with charges as it was a crime. Instead, a convicted sex offender has been given white glove treatment. As of July 16th, he specifically is driving on a suspended license and drives every day past the police, and they know it. He has a registered business that is registered to his home in Roswell, Georgia. He has a company vehicle with a temporary tag from the state of Maine. He's had that for at least the temporary tag from the state of Maine for at least over a year. He's the sole owner of the business. He's a Roswell resident. How is this being allowed and ignored? I say that because I've submitted complaints to code enforcement. I've talked to the police department. Everybody keeps saying, it's not me, it's not them. And which way did he go? Which way did we go? We don't know who was responsible for the fact that this business is registered in Roswell, but he's got a temporary tag from Maine. But at the end of the day, I saved the best for last. Roswell Police Department Internal Affairs is overseen, and ultimately I was told the chief is the CEO, and there's no external agency. I filed 6 complaints since March of 2023. 3 of the 6 have been deemed founded. And I truly feel at least 1, if not 2 of the others should have been founded. The best one, or not the best one, sorry. The latest one that I can't even file an internal affairs complaint is the story about the 2 officers that made it on the news, where it's 2 officers related to the story about being caught on a dash cam / body cam, I don't know which one it was, threatening to blow holes in kids. That officer, one of those officers, was allowed to resign on May 21st, weeks before the story hit the news. He is still eligible for rehire within Roswell Police Department and anywhere else. This incident is not even reflected in his internal affairs file if you pulled it today, because he resigned right before the investigation. This is the problem, and how can no one realize having the chief of police be the end-all, be-all?
Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Can I just ask my last question?
No, ma'am. Thank you for your comments.
Of course.
Okay, who's next? Yes, ma'am. Welcome, Sally.
Okay, I don't know how well. Sally McKenzie, 47 Goulding Place. I wanted to come and,
Do you have a presentation that you want to?
not a presentation,
Okay,
it's
good.
just recording, so I hope that it will not cause noise when I play them. But I wanted to come and speak briefly regarding the Gateway. I know that the public hearing open house is October 8th, and I'm not sure what the point of it is. I did inquire, I haven't heard back yet. I don't know whether it's just informational or whether public input could have any sort of impact on the design. From my understanding, it could potentially have an impact, but I'm waiting to hear back as to what the specifications are around this meeting. But back to the Gateway, as far as I can tell, the late 1990s, early 2000s, discussions began in earnest regarding a better intersection at the river and the dangers surrounding that area. And it was clear, very clear, that the mayor at the time, council, and citizens wanted an improved intersection, but they were also very concerned about the economic impacts, the aesthetic impacts, the effect on the environment, because it was, even back then, well, it's always been known that it is a jewel. It is a feather in our cap. And the concern for the area is very clear when you go through the notes, in the meeting notes. As the project evolved, GDOT became involved. Although the design was from RDOT, GDOT became involved, and things changed. Mid-2010s, it was clear that GDOT was leading the charge, and I think RDOT had kind of fallen in step with their priorities versus Roswell as a priority. So I want to play this conversation with the GDOT project manager at the time, and this is my conversation with him in 2018.
Sally, the open mic is for your comments. It's not for a recording of a conversation between you and another individual. So you can say what the conversation was, but putting a recording of somebody on here in the public record would not be appropriate.
Okay, I'm not sure why. Is it my 5 minutes?
It's just your 5 minutes. It's for your 5 minutes for
Well,
you
I'm
to
trying
speak.
I would actually like to get the conversation on the record, and relaying it, I may not do it accurately, so I apologize then. I disagree with that call. But essentially, the conversation went like, I was talking to him regarding the value of the area and wanting to actually institute a program to protect the gateway as it redeveloped, because it meets all of the GDOT and national specifications for a protected area, an area that should be protected as transportation initiatives are created. And he said, that's fine, we'll look at doing that, but I just want you to know that this was RDOT's project. We are not in control. RDOT is in control. Although any project they bring to us, we have to approve. And he went on to specify that moving big rigs through the region and safely, and also moving traffic through the area safely was their priority. So GDOT's priorities are not Roswell's priorities. It's clear. And it became clear that RDOT fell in step with GDOT with this project in the mid-teens. I have also on a recording of Ace and Brack at a transportation meeting going on about big rigs being the future, and big rigs are going to get even bigger, and we need to facilitate big rigs. And so my point to the GDOT project manager and to you all tonight is that GDOT is not, their priorities are not our priorities. Our priorities are the best interests of Roswell. And our priorities, as far as the gateway are concerned, are not only the economic, or not only the aesthetic, culture, or historic environment, but also the economic environment and the future, the potential that that area holds. And to think that widening that road to 120, we're talking about Marietta Highway 120, that's how wide it's going to be. To think that that's going to be good for that area, it's just not. So I just want to put it out there that the 8th is the last opportunity that citizens have to speak up, and there's no opportunity to speak up. It's all, you can submit a card. People don't even really understand what this project is about. And you and GDOT and RDOT are not going to hear us at that meeting. It's really, as far as I can tell,
Thank you, Sally.
a check the box.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, in the back, in the dress, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, dress, I apologize, it is you. I apologize. Welcome.
I tried to dress up. Do I leave this?
Yes, ma'am, and that little tray right
Oh,
there
in the
to
tray,
your
okay.
left.
I read my Alpharetta Roswell Herald.
Would you do me a favor and give us your name and tell us?
Nancy Canal, 9010 Terrace Club Drive.
Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. And since the published articles, since about March of this year, I've really been concerned about the direction of Roswell government, how our government is being run, the dependency upon consultants, and I'd like to give you my concerns tonight. Trying to run government as a business just does not work, because everything that is profitable, everything that is profitable is not everything that is profitable is of social value, and not everything of social value is profitable. I think you're under the impression that Sierra World's economic development plan will enable Roswell to sell its services to other communities. That this is a new way of running government. You have a new model for government, and others are going to copy this. And I think that's a mistaken idea. I don't think anyone's going to copy this. I don't know one person in Roswell that is unhappy about paying their property taxes. It's a benefits tax. We realize that we need to be civic citizens and support Roswell's infrastructure and the services we're given. For that reason, and for the reasons that property taxes are the logical and reasonable way to raise revenue, one of the ways is given in the Georgia Municipal Association's website, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. They list 6 main reasons. The idea that we should pave over much of what's left of our beautiful natural landscape in order to reduce or eliminate property taxes, to me, is ludicrous. And I don't understand this goal or effort to say, oh, well, you won't have to pay property taxes. To me, that's another way of not giving people a say in their government, disenfranchising them, in other words. Our treed areas are critical components of Roswell's infrastructure, as they contribute both to the physical and the mental health of Roswell residents in a multitude of ways. Trees also increase property values and are a vital component of the visual quality of the city. What I've heard from the development plan with Sear World is clear-cut, huge projects. On the subject of Sear World, the Sear World website gives no professional accreditations of any sort for Mr. Sorkoff, and it says he served as a sports team marketer and claims that he has a deep understanding of the human subconscious and a theory of fandom. I feel Roswell should be spending our tax dollars on qualified city planners and economists to develop a strategic plan for economic development. Such strategies for small cities like Roswell must be more than build, build, build. Mr. Sear suggested projects like the 10,000 plus seat stadium with ancillary developments, the hovercraft facility, the additional buildings planned for Old Alabama Road, and the proposed road from Warsaw to Big Creek through the forested Big Creek watershed are not compatible with our beautiful bedroom community. They are compatible with larger cities with large commercial industrial districts. East Roswell, and I would say West Roswell also, does have shopping centers that need revitalizations or new concepts, but we don't need to be branded, as Mr. Sorkoff says, with a large sports stadium. And also, as an aside, decades of studies by economists show that sports stadiums, with or without ancillary developments, are poor investments as economic development projects. They do have one strong positive association, and unfortunately, that's to crime. I would refer you to the published studies by economist John Charles Bradbury, who happens to be at Kennesaw State, which is someone, if you want to confirm these thoughts, you could check with Professor Bradford. He has a PhD in economics, and sports economics is one of his specialties.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Are there any other Roswell residents that would like to speak on open mic tonight? Thank you all for your comments, and thank you for taking your time, forgive me, to be with us this evening. Since there are no more speakers, the open mic portion of this meeting is closed. Thank you for being here tonight. David, I've got a reference here that there's a closure, but I don't see a closure reference. So I'm going to say that there are no other items. This mayor and council meeting, yes, ma'am? No closure, no closure. Being that there are no other items, this mayor and council open forum of September 30th, 2024 is adjourned. Thank you so much.